Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scargiver. Terrible name.
I want Happy Meals.
This is a movie where he really needed to listen to the people that he doesn't care about.
The sort of online feedback, I don't really look at that. That's a dark place.
The audience. Yeah, dude, your best mates that you have in your first focus group.
Where I would bring in like a bunch of my friends who I like their opinion and I trust their taste.
Yeah, the trusted ones because they all agree with you. It turns out you like their opinion because they also have terrible taste. Or just say what you want to hear because you've got money. I don't know. No, this movie is so bad. It's got an 18% on Rotten Tomatoes, which was 13 yesterday, and caused Zack Snyder to go on an interview where he was talking about his alternative reality director's cuts, which is my catharsis. Why is it cathartic for you to do a director's cut of your own pissing movie? Because need we forget, he already directed this one. Yeah, you know that movie I directed? It was so bad, I can't wait to direct a different version of it. That first one really was ass, wasn't it? Yeah. This is a movie that needs to be seen to be believed.
On the far edges of the Motherworld's reach,
in a galaxy far, far away,
circling the gas giant Mara, was the small moon of Velt. There, a village of humble farmers.
In the dark, dark town, there was a dark, dark house. In the dark, dark house, there was a dark, dark staircase.
And in the dark, dark cellar, some skeletons lived.
The ship's commander demanded more than Velt's people could give.
Even that's not true, because he said, I'll pay you 3 times what it's worth, which meant they could just go and buy it somewhere else. But I do appreciate that for the movie that was released 3 months ago and is still available on streaming to watch whenever you want, we still had to do a recap, just because you probably fell asleep in the first one.
Korra, Guna, Mighty Tarak, Nemesis, General Titus.
I do question how important this is, considering I've watched 2 movies and still don't know anybody's names. Each character has a scene and that's it anyway. So they killed the villain at the end of movie 1, but at the start of movie 2, somehow he's returned.
He is alive.
He is just.
That's not how we judge life. You're either living or dead. Like, well, he's a bit of a zombie. Get some cool effects, because this is what Snyder actually does well. Is that, oh, doesn't it look pretty? And as if your eyes are broken. It's like driving down the motorway at night with an astigmatism. I mean, look at that on the right.
He had no brain function for quite a while.
Yeah, the entirety of the last movie. So they bring him round to see if he's got brain damage. Quite likely, as he did sign up for a second one of these movies. And let's be honest, this is the guy who banged an octopus. He probably goes in this machine for fun anyway. Definitely looked as if he was having a good time in there, didn't it?
Kathy, where am I?
You're about to be edited into a 6-hour director's cut. In other words, you're in hell.
You're aboard your ship, sir. The King's Case.
That's what I said.
Kathy, listen to me.
I am listening to you. This is going to be Zack's master plan and his motivation for the rest of the movie. So don't forget this, because Zack will. No, seriously, one of the main problems in this movie is that the villain gets his motivation given to him by a different person on the opposite end of the galaxy, and they never communicate about it. This is his actual motivation.
The Scargiver. She's unfilled.
I mean, what could have given that away? Was it when you literally saw her there at the start of the first movie, literally her home, you went and attacked it and left men there? You're like, go to Velt! You're gonna have to go to Velt anyway to pick up your pissing men. Quick, go to that planet which you were already going to go to. Top speed. Engage.
That calls for Velt.
So it'd be really stupid if somebody else wrongly assumed his motivation and then he started acting as if that was true all along, wouldn't it? And then when we get there, we're gonna forget why we went there in the first place. I've just realized that given his death and resurrection and this pose, they're really going for crucifixion symbology, aren't they? With the guy who banged an octopus. Oh, Zack, how can you be so controversial, yet so brave? Part 2, the Scargiver, because, like, she gives people scars and stuff. No, seriously, that's literally the story of this movie. Oh, help me, I've gone blind. Everything's out of focus. Sorry, just a Zack Snyder movie. Wait, I can see a crack in your lens. Here, it looks like a crack in his lens and a scratched lens. What? Look, it moves. That is a cracked lens, and it's marked. What? Look, here it is. Here's the crack. There's the mark. Both of these things are gonna move. They're fixed because they're on the pissing lens. Why are we filming a Netflix movie with broken camera equipment? No, I'm an artist, you see. That's why I smear my excrement on a wall. If you did it, you'd be weird, but when I do it, I'm an artist. So back return the gang, and if you were defending a village against a spaceship, you may think that about 7 people turning up on horseback wouldn't save your village, but these people are stupider than you. I know you wouldn't think it, but she actually has magical powers, yes. When she holds a gun, it gets more powerful. Don't ask me how, I'm just assuming that's weird sci-fi magic. I know to to a normal person, these may look like horses with a bit of woods taped to their face. Some may say that's derivative and not original, but at least in this shot, the camera lens isn't broken. Stop complaining.
I'm Hagen. This is Dan.
Although I am wondering, why does he look so much like Wolverine? I've just looked him up without a beard. He looks way less like Hugh Jackman. I'd be keeping the beard.
We welcome you to our humble village.
Yeah, so he can get us all killed?
We have prepared food and drink for you in the longhouse.
Yes, this is where things started to get a bit suspicious for me. Turns out I was literally seeing more depth to the movie than physically existed. With the most surprising thing about it being that I could have thought this movie had depth.
I'm a writer. I've written half of the movies that I've directed.
They've come back.
Wait, why does he look like the main character? No, seriously, he looks like Cora. Okay, so she has slightly more hair on the top, but I mean, come on. This is the problem with the haircut. Everybody looks the same.
How many of them?
6, with Cora and Gunnar.
6. It won't matter how strong they are.
Based. Look, 2 of them are women, it won't matter how strong they are. This is if you just believe in yourself, you can fight a capital ship from the ground. Battle strategy, not Zack's strong point. In fact, I don't think Sun Tzu could make this movie make any sense. But he gets a phone call from space. I know it looks like a CB radio, but don't you understand? Star Wars mixed that kind of sci-fi spacefaring nation with old technology, and so Zack was like, yeah, I can do that as well, can't I? It's not copying, it's an homage, because I'm an artist. An auteur. Doesn't care what the audience thinks.
I don't really look at that. That's a dark place.
I'd always be wary of empires that make you beat yourself up every phone call. Ow! Can we stop doing that, please? I've got a bruise. It's the way we strengthen ourselves. We hit our heart every time we meet somebody. No soldier survives past 35, but I'm sure it's not due to this all the time. But he asked some questions, everything fine down on the planet, nothing out the ordinary. He's like, no, I'm not suspicious at all, despite the fact that I work for an evil empire.
Ensure that the harvest is brought in as planned and ready for our arrival in 5 days' time.
We're also going to tell the enemy planet, who we know are hiding the person we're hunting, the exact time of our arrival, so they can prepare for it. Everyone's an idiot, but you can only write people of the same intelligence of you, or lesser. Everybody in this movie is the same intelligence as the writer. So then we get the robot watching them, who is basically evil. He watches everybody die, and then glory hunts at the end. Unfortunately, Anthony Hopkins doesn't have any lines in this movie, which were equivalent to his one in Mission Impossible 2.
She's got no training for this kind of thing.
But to go to bed with a man and lie to him, she's a woman. She's got all the training she needs.
So he's just gonna stand on a mountain and watch for a bit, I suppose.
This is not mission difficult, Mr. Hunt. It's mission impossible. Difficult should be a walk in the park for you.
And the robot's like a predator. He's got different visions he can flick through. So the first one highlights plants. The second one highlights weapons. And the third just highlights Cora for some reason that nobody's quite worked out yet. Or maybe it's women, I'm not sure. Either way, we turn up in the food hall with nobody there. And at this point, I'm thinking he's going to poison them.
Now please, eat. You must all be very hungry.
He's sold them out, the food's poisoned, and he's just trying to stitch them up before the Empire arrives.
Our villagers have prepared a bounty of food and drink.
Yeah, so where are they then?
To show their fealty and gratitude.
Look, I don't know whether I'm paranoid or they're suspicious, but it gets even worse when the next line...
But where is everyone?
Yeah. So now, I'm sure they're about to get poisoned. It's not even in the pissing movie. It's not even suggested, let alone intended. I can only assume that Zack has spent so much time in Hollywood that he thinks behavior like this is normal. Everyone's looking at it like, yeah, it is suspicious, isn't it? It's suspicious.
How would you feel? You were not capable of standing to protect your own home.
So he cooked him a sausage roll, left it on a table and pissed off?
If you had to ask others to lay down their lives for you.
Don't worry, you're going to be laying down your lives as well. They're about to nuke your entire town, folks.
They should see there's no shame in our being here. To swallow their pride enough to even ask for help. That is bravery itself.
No, it isn't. No, it really isn't. Hey, look, there's a lion coming down the road. Can you go and fight him, please? Yeah, I'll be in my house, safe and sound. You just go off and bare-knuckle box a lion. That doesn't take bravery, mate. Punching the lion in the face does. Oh, but it's our feelings, you see? It's not the actions that are important, it's your little fifis.
Wow! Wow! Thank you! I love movies!
Only a woman would come out with this kind of logic, I tell you.
Thank you.
Yes.
I love the way they all act as if she just said something profound, when what she said was complete and utter codswallop. So she's like, don't worry though, I killed the Admiral, and for some reason, that means the ship's gonna leave, rather than take vengeance on the horrific act that I did. She's not very smart.
You do not believe that they will return?
You'd think they would, wouldn't you, if you just killed their leader?
It's Imperial protocol in the event of an Admiral's death.
to come back and take vengeance. So just as she's telling them that, this guy comes in and goes, by the way, they're coming back. Yeah. They don't care what you did. And she must be amazed because to her, it's like looking in a mirror.
They'll be here in 5 days.
Somehow, they're returning.
True.
Did you think he's lying to you? Oh, they're coming back in 5 days to kill us all? Psych! Got you! You should have seen your face.
I did kill him.
Temporarily.
It's against protocol to come with an admiral to command the ship, right?
She doesn't even know. Right? I do remember that, right? I mean, I was working for them for decades, but... Right?
But death is not always deterrent enough for the designs of the mother world.
I love how he just slips that in there. By the way, sometimes they just come back to life, as if that's not a major universe, biological and spiritual barrier that we are annihilating here. And they're all just like, yeah, sometimes we'll just pop back to life now and again. That's normal.
There must be more in need of this grain than we could have known.
That's the false assumption. They're coming to this planet. Why? For Cora.
The Scargiver. She's unfelt. That goes fulfilled.
For her. That's the motivation. But he doesn't know that they're coming back for her, because how could they know she's on this planet? So he assumes they're coming back for the grain. They don't care about the grain. He's got it wrong. And yet for most of the movie, the enemies are now going to just assume that he's been correct all along because he was the last person to state the motivation. That guy is a dangerous telepathic weapon. He can beam somebody's motivation to them from across the universe. Be careful when he gets something wrong. He literally bends reality around him.
Call your villagers. Let me talk to them.
He's like, go out and call your villagers. I need to talk to them. And then just immediately walks out the door, and there they all are. Hey, Keegan, that was fast. It's been about 2 seconds. They're already here. Look, it's a big crowd. I need to get pissed first.
Dark days lie ahead of us all.
I gotta be honest, if you're gonna do an inspiring speech, it's not the greatest start, is it? I gather you all here today to say that basically all of us are gonna die because we're fighting a spaceship. I don't even know what in this shot is supposed to be in focus because nearly all of it isn't.
We may all have to stand together in battle. In time, we will teach you how to fight.
You've only got 5 days, mate.
But first, you must show us your strength, the way of the land.
Basically doing an inspiring speech of, we just need to go out and farm, please. Yeah, if you could do that. If you could do what you've been doing anyway, that'd be great, thank you. Just do it a bit faster.
How long does it take to bring in your crop?
Half a cycle around Mara.
Okay, so we're a moon. He doesn't give us a time, but let's just use our moon, shall we? Our moon orbits in 27 days. So half a cycle is about 2 weeks. How long to get your grain in? 14 days. And then we get...
No, it must be done in 3 days' time.
Tough. If you want me to go at 500% super speed, there's only one thing you can't do. Slow motion. This is a Zack Snyder film. That's never gonna happen.
We need every man and woman who's able. The grain is our most powerful weapon.
Get all the women and children to go and help. It's like, that's not going to speed it up much, is it? But the grain is our most powerful weapon because that's what they really want, even though it isn't, because they're after the Scargiver.
She's unfelt. That goes fulfilled.
They don't actually care about the grain at all. But they do now because he said so, and so off we go to get the grain.
Without it, they are liable to blow us out of existence from orbit.
They would anyway, as soon as they knew the Scargiver wasn't in your pissing houses. Also remember, this is about grain. Not flour, grain. These guys decide to mill it just for fun.
Hope they all have the courage to stand and fight if it comes to it.
As opposed to what? Where do you think they're gonna go? They don't have spaceships. They can't leave. And this is seemingly the only town on the entire moon. I don't know why.
What was it you were so afraid of if it wasn't death?
Losing you.
It was you. It was losing you.
Now, I have seen this movie. I knew he was going to say that. I also predicted the line the first time I watched the movie as well, though. I'm like, there's no way he's going to do it. He's not going to do the most cliche line in the history of cliches.
It was you. It was losing you.
But no, this is Zack, when he says it, he's an artist.
By saying, Snyder sucks,
yeah.
You're also saying, give me some more focus groups.
Or an autist, I'm not sure. They get together for absolutely no reason whatsoever. I mean, they've got all the chemistry of a soggy kebab. I mean, she looks kind of in pain trying to kiss him, to be honest. Cut ahead now to the aftermath. I'm assuming he's keeping all the good bits for the director's cut. He definitely had to watch them a lot just to make sure that they didn't need to be included in this one. And then he gets to watch them all again for the next movie. There's nothing funny about it. No, I mean, it's art, after all. The human form. And we get a lore dump. We figure if everyone takes their tops off, you might be able to concentrate long enough to actually remember it for once.
What Noble said about you being the most wanted criminal in the known universe.
Do you remember this thing from the first movie? Yeah, I'm gonna tell you it again just in case you forgot.
You remember how I told you?
Are we really doing this? Oh, do you remember when this guy told you this thing? And she's like, yes. Do you remember when this also guy told you this thing? Can we all ask if everybody remembers what happened to us yesterday? That'd be fun.
I was raised by Belisarius. Region of the Imperium.
Do you remember what they said happened about Belisarius? Yes, I do. Legionnaire of the Imperium? This is like going, do you remember what Bush said? He's like, yes. President? That I've just said, yes, I know who he is. Why are you telling me his obvious station?
How I was the bodyguard to the Princess Issa.
He's already said he remembers. Why are we still explaining?
And that you were a decorated warrior.
She knows her own story. Why are we telling it back to her face?
Friend of the royal family. What happened to them?
Well, do you remember when I told... Oh, my God.
Under the healing influence of his daughter, the king had begun to see many things in a different light.
It was a failure of the patriarchy. Yeah, you know how it is. He was out there conquering and ruling the universe, and then he had a daughter, and it all fell apart. That was the end for the Empire. Only took one generation. It wasn't even in double figures. But we go now to a flashback. He went to open the final capital ship.
I was the loyal daughter of my adopted father. I could not betray him or defy him.
Remember that. She's gonna try really hard to play the victim here, when every single action she did was purely voluntary. I could not, but yes, you could. You could though, couldn't you? You could have done it. You chose not to. You are responsible for your actions. Nobody forced you.
He had told me the princess must die, and die she would.
And that's your fault. Only your fault. But no, we're gonna try and blame a bloke for it. So the royal family walks out. Her boss says he's not gonna let the daughter ruin a good empire. And so the royal family has to go.
I had faith that Belisarius would protect me and the empire.
Bit too honest there, weren't you, love? Oh, I'm the victim. I was sure he would protect me. She only has a problem with her actions when he doesn't protect her, or in other words, when she gets held accountable for her actions. She is more than willing to wipe out the royal family she has a duty to protect, right until she has to pay a price for it. Then suddenly, everybody else is the bad guy. Oh, they made me do it. To me, this is just outing her as the villain of the movie.
I'm not about to let a man take credit for a woman's work.
Because it seems that Zack has Hollywood morality, just the same as the rest of them. So the royal family walk into this absolutely not suspicious room. One where there's a string quartet playing who will have bags over their heads, because if they saw what was going on, they'd have to die as well. And I don't know if the eye is symbolic, but making them all a cyclops is still creepy either way. They're also playing really depressing, sad music as you walk in. This is meant to be a congratulatory celebration. They are dedicating the opening to a new ship. It's supposed to be the Peacekeeper ship. It's like, come on, why is everybody in this room so miserable?
Strange.
Just a bit. Maybe we should turn around and walk away. Hang on, why are all our guards behind us, blocking the exit?
Something's wrong.
No! This is meant to be the king that conquered the empire, and yet he seems to have the brains of your average Diddy partygoer. There's something about this event that seems a little weird. I can't quite put my finger on it. Maybe Diddy will.
Belisarius, where is the Kali? Why aren't the furnaces lit?
Why have the musicians got a bag on their head? Why are they playing depressing music that you would play at some kind of funeral? Why is everyone handing my guards a book called, A Storm of Swords?
Belisarius, I am talking to you.
I'm talking, and I'm not listening!
How come you're ignoring me? As if I don't matter. You do realise I'm your leader, right?
Answer me, man!
Hold on, why are you all circling around me? Wearing togas like you're just about to meet Julius Caesar. I think you're trying to tell me something, I just can't quite put my finger on it. How come you're holding a blade? Are we about to be served steak? This scene is so subtle. I'm not sure what's happening. But at that point, he turns around and looks at his bodyguard who, well, we see how she acts. Right, I'm gonna take my gloves off, because I need to join in with this. But remember, it's not my fault for my actions, even though I'm doing them voluntarily and could stop it. So then, everybody pulls out a knife. Kinda would have preferred them to use lasers, because they're all in a semicircle, and one of them might have missed. But the best bit is, just as they lose their temper, and everyone starts to move for them, the musicians seem to know, despite the fact they've got bags over their heads. They literally kick the music up a gear. The musicians might be the most evil people in the room. I mean, come on. Who on earth wrote this?
I've written half of the movies that I've directed. That's a dark place.
We had to compose this music, then practice it enough that we could remember it literally blindfolded. Yeah, when they start grabbing the little girl, that's when we'll go into high gear. So the adults start getting stabbed, and the kid's like, oh, save me, bodyguard. Yeah, she's not gonna save her though, is she? Killing her only 2 remaining guards who, by the way, weren't doing anything this entire time. Might as well just left them alive. It's not as if they were gonna help her. But the king goes down, and then the music really steps up a gear. I mean, seriously, those musicians are the most evil. People are killing each other, and the musicians still manage to be more evil than the murderers. Because they're just doing the actions, but the musicians are like, yeah, this is amazing. Can't even see it, but I can tell by the screams what's happening. My face when I was watching this movie. The musicians are really going for it now. They've even planned for the tense section of what if she doesn't pull the trigger? Oh, we'll do some suspense music now. And this is where she can't defend herself. Because this is where you have a choice. I mean, yes, you could have defended the parents, but now you've still got a choice because you're pausing, you're thinking.
I had faith that Belisarius would protect me.
If you're gonna regret it, don't do it. Fight your way out now while she's still alive. Or do the action and regret it anyway. The problem is when people go like, oh no, I'm gonna resist. Or, oh no, I'm gonna do it. And then I'm gonna regret it later. It's like when people say, I'm not gonna tell you the answer, then get subjected to pain and then just tell them the answer anyway. If you were gonna break, just break at the start. Save yourself the pain.
What are you waiting for, child? Do it!
Wasn't really the accent I was expecting in space, but here we are.
Do it. No.
Why don't you do it?
Do it.
Do it. Just do it, love. I mean, this is a really scary accent to have as like the leader of an empire. Just pull the trigger.
Kill her.
Go on, fire it.
Kill her! No.
Music.
I forgive you.
I wouldn't. She's the one causing everything. She's the one you should be blaming. It should have been, this is all your fault. I can't believe you've betrayed us. We trusted you. Why are you pissing forgiving her? It's a voluntary action.
Don't.
Yes, don't forgive me. I'm the villain of the movie. At this point, nobody wonders, hang on, why is she glowing? Is that have you ever seen that happen to do they normally glow? No. So why is she glowing then? No. We all expected it, apparently. Oh yeah, this happens every time anyone gets shot by a laser pistol, I suppose. Nothing to see, nothing worthy of comment. So he then finishes off the king, which he apparently kept alive to see his daughter glow. No one comments on the glowing.
What have you done? Caesar!
Only now does she regret her actions. I was sure he was going to protect me. She was fine with taking out the entire family until she had to be accountable for her actions. It was like, look, I was on board with taking out the princess. I just didn't know I might have to go to prison for it.
There she is, gentlemen.
The assassin of the royal family.
We're supposed to think he's the bad guy. No, she did actually do it. He is holding her accountable for her actions.
And cancer of ethnic impurity.
Look, Zack Snyder isn't as smart as he thinks he is.
I'm not gonna say like, you don't like my movie? What's the matter with you? I want Happy Meals.
It does make you wonder what's going to be in the director's cut, though, doesn't it? This is an empire that spans the galaxy. They have taken over hundreds or thousands of different planets with a whole variety of different people. One of this guy's own generals bangs an octopus. You can't argue about impurity when one of your leaders is banging an octopus. You know, when the director's cut comes out of me banging this alien, I hope I don't become too much of a meme, and his boss is going, no, she's the impure one. Never been mentioned in any movie at all that this is anything to do with them, because it wouldn't make sense in the world, but he couldn't resist signaling his alliances to the cult. What a pathetic, sad human being.
You don't like my movie? What's the matter with you?
Is he wrong? Yes, she is a murderer. But now she regrets it because she's having to pay the price. We're supposed to think that they're the villains, and it's like, yes, they also did it, but they're not worse than she is. She is equally culpable with them. So as she starts freeing herself, she's like, yeah, you know, I could have fought all these people before and saved the princess, but now I'll take her out and then just save myself. She could also take out the guy that's blaming her for it. No. She'll wipe out a child, no problem whatsoever, but not the person that she now blames for ruining her life.
I had faith
that Belisarius would protect me.
We're supposed to think that she's the good guy in all this, are we? Somebody that will wipe out a child, but we'll draw the line at possibly the evil guy that masterminded it. This might be why you need to listen to the internet, Zach, you know.
The sort of online feedback, I don't really look at that.
Because unlike Hollywood focus groups, it'll actually have humans in it who can do things like human for you.
That's a dark place.
The morality section of your story. She storms out, leaving him alone, because, you know, she'll take out everybody except the big bad guy. Doesn't hesitate on anyone else.
I thought about letting them kill me or just not fighting.
I don't know why he's almost in tears. He's like, oh my god, I can't believe I've just done this with somebody that would gladly wipe out a kid. He's just realised she's pure evil.
Her forgiveness. I felt the only way to honor her was to run.
What? No, the way you'd honour her would be to have fought the room and save her, not take her out and then regret it when you get punished for your actions that you actually did. You are not the victim in this scenario. You are the perpetrator, the voluntary criminal.
And try to be, I don't know.
I actually don't know what she says there. Is it try to be edible?
And try to be, I don't know.
Irritable? Try to be irritable or edible? I don't know.
More than a weapon.
Well, a weapon would have been really useful in protecting her if you didn't get your rocks off by it. We all get up the next day and then it's off to, well, harvest. There's a lot of harvesting. We're going to keep coming back to the harvesting. Don't worry though, we can travel through space and fly, but we've still got harvesting tools from the medieval ages. Everything's in slow motion. Everything. I mean, that's just a waste of corn. Even how they're walking is a waste of corn. Go in straight lines. Stop treading it into the soil, you cretins. Walk behind each other. Oh, we'll just walk through the field and destroy half of it because we're walking as a pack. I'm not even a farmer and I'm getting triggered. How much are you crushing to death? There's barely any room for the corn left after they've walked all over it. Oh, look, the corn's getting destroyed in slow motion. Oh, look, it's a bug walking in slow motion. Oh, look, we're scything in slow motion. I just want to remind you, this is supposed to be speed harvesting. We are doing 14 days work in 3. At that pace.
I'm not a fan of like action that is hidden by the camera. The camera becomes a third character.
Yeah, I'm glad you made that bundle, mate. Whew. I don't know how you could lift such a large amount of wheat in one go. Really efficient there. There we were, tying together 4 bits of corn. Obviously, just get a combine harvester.
'Cause I got a brand new combine harvester and I'll give you the key.
The secret ingredient to our great tasting flour is inefficient labor practices.
Now let's get together in perfect harmony.
We are still going in slow motion. I'm not even sure if this is in slow motion anymore. My entire sense of time is broken. Oh no, there we are. That's back to slow motion for sure. Just because you had a few seconds of perhaps normal time doesn't count. Oh, when I look at her, all of time stands still. At least that's what it feels like when she's nagging. If you think that's the end of the harvesting scene, you have seen nothing yet. Back on the ship, the temporary captain gets a complaint by the medical staff. It was like, the guy wants to be released. Like, well, releasing them?
I come on this ship.
You do know who your boss is, right? Supposed to be a villain. He's a bad guy. You're like, no, I won't let you take charge.
Court-martial, I swear it. Every one of you will die.
I mean, I'd trust him personally, but that's just me. So he heads down to the medical bay.
Are you ready to assume your command? Yes, of course I am.
I mean, if that's all it takes, why are we stopping him?
There are protocols before you can be cleared to resume command.
Yes, but can the captain of the ship override the protocols? I'm gonna say yes, because he's about to.
To see if you are mentally and physically strong.
Well, you know, I think he's passed the physical test, at least. Definitely passed the physical test. And he can decide on an action and not regret it 2 seconds later, so he also has more mental acuity than Cora, the main character. Of course, this does have the side effect now that even if you set up a protocol for a reason, no one will obey the protocol, because whenever they're asked to disobey it, they'll be like, okay, yeah, just keep me alive. Utterly destroyed the command section of your entire ship. But then again, he's copying Star Wars, so you know, they thought it was edgy back then, they think it's edgy now.
We're just a joke to you. Not so funny now, are we?
When really, it's always been stupid that the villain just goes around killing people. Especially when they go to like a trader and say, can you do this for me? They're like, yes, that'll be 100 grand. And instead of paying them, they wipe them out. Your entire criminal empire would grind to a halt as no one would work for you, as you'd take out everybody that would be willing to work for you, starting with the best people. You'd be only have incompetent people left.
How far are we from Belt?
I don't know why he's holding his arms out like this. He doesn't even have any wires on his arms. But the guy's like, I'm sorry that this incompetent medical team left that scar on your chest. Also, you would have thought we could have regenerated your hair while we were here, but unfortunately, we're not that talented.
No, leave it. She gave it.
Yeah, you get it? She gave him a scar. She's called the Scargiver. Zack really isn't as smart as he thinks he is he? Like, seriously.
You don't like my movie? What's the matter with you?
But he's like, when I take her out and her body is displayed, I will bare my chest to show everybody how incompetent I was, that she defeated me, and for somehow, that will be a brag.
And as a symbol that it is I who brought to justice the Scargiver.
Yeah, but only after you lost and then had to get resurrected from death to come and have a second chance. Be like, I always get the job done after I've been incompetent the first time. But if you give me enough chances, I'll win eventually. Don't worry though, we're back to the harvesting.
'Cause I ain't got a brand new combine harvester.
I've got a brand new combine harvester. At least it's at normal speed for a bit. Guess I spoke too soon. Is this literally just a look at his bulging muscles as he's sweating? I mean, I'd say if you're going to put in this scene, could you at least put something in for the lads? But let's face it, this is Hollywood. This is what they're putting in for the lads.
Otherwise, you just go right by and you'd never have a chance to appreciate the like composition, slow motion tableau.
Yeah, that pace, mate. You'll definitely get it done in 3 days. What a speed demon. So this goes on seemingly forever. We start beating it with flails, presumably because it's been naughty. Oh no, it's to get all the bits of wheat off. What, just onto the open soil so it can get wasted? What a bunch of tossers. This is somebody's face that isn't moving, so we'll put that in slow motion as well. You might as well just put a JPEG up there, no one would have known. So then we get this scene where we prove that Nemesis is faster than a child. Scary. I'm smirking because I've just scared a child. This guy is still pretending to be getting pissed on the job. I say pretending. That is a spoiler for later. The real question is, why would your leader want you to think that he was getting pissed on the job? You'd have far more confidence in him if he was sober. Just when you think it's over, I mean, a nice pause if nothing else. Don't worry, we're still harvesting. It goes on forever. At least this is slightly sped up to make it seem like they're doing some pissing work. Oh look, we can carry this incredibly light wheat a little bit at a time. Then we get the night scene. Now, as you can see, over on the right-hand side, we've just put the lights into the ground, because lights don't need to move, the light does it for you. Except over on the left, we've got people holding the lights. Yes, that's right, they're not moving the lights, they're just holding. They could put them in the ground and go to pissing work. We've only got 3 days to do 2 weeks' work, but don't worry, we can definitely spare some people to hold a stick. That was 3 minutes of harvesting wheat, and I don't know why. Just go, yeah, we harvested all that wheat, it was really boring. I'm scared for how much wheat collecting is in the extended edition. Now, once again, they phone the place, ask him a load of questions. Are you sure that everything's fine? We haven't seen your friends in a while. He's like, no, they're out in the fields making sure those peasants are doing their work.
Maybe some mercy's in order.
These dogs deserve nothing but our boot.
It's just like being needlessly evil for no reason whatsoever.
Is that right?
That's very suspicious. So they immediately realize that, yeah, all those people are dead because that guy's a lunatic. We just said, let's have mercy. It's like, no, not for these filth. It's like, what?
Human scum.
And it's clear that Faunus and Marcus and the rest of their men are dead.
Yeah, they're either dead or that guy's a pissing lunatic. And then, I know what you're thinking. You're like, the harvesting is over. They couldn't harvest more. And you'd be correct. We can start milling though, folks. Nobody knows why. We don't have to mill the grain immediately. We can have our war first. Grain and flour are effectively the same thing as a defense, except there'd be more of it to defend more of your area. But then, obviously, we get a really artistic milling scene. in slow motion. I don't know whether I had to say that. You probably expected it already. You even have to see them stacking the sacks on top of each other. I don't care how big a fan you are of Clarkson's Farm. If you wanted to make a farming show, you could have asked Amazon rather than Netflix. They would have made one for you. But then finally, the farming is over. For now. We still got some people lagging behind with just like one backpack of wheat that for some reason they never gave anybody.
I wanted to welcome our new friends.
Didn't know it was that kind of party. I mean, there is 7 of them. Are you sure you've got the time? Shouldn't you be out there harvesting? I mean, wheat's not their,
I want to give you these small gifts I've made.
When did you get time to make them? You've had 3 days. You were supposed to be pissing getting the wheat in so everybody didn't die, and you're like, no, I need to make some little pictures. I've got better things to do than helping my town survive.
I know you all come from places much richer and more sophisticated than here.
They found one of them drunk in a gutter. She's like, well, still better than the crap hole I live in. That must have been that sophisticated manure.
I felt like General Titus was like the mountains themselves.
We're just back to his arms again. Zach, it's okay. We know.
Strong.
Seriously, where did you get the time to knit one of these, let alone the rest of them? If you didn't harvest all that wheat, blame her.
Tarak. Your spirit is untamable.
It's been 3 days. How do you even know? How did you find this out? Was it watching him farm wheat or watching the last movie?
But your nobility is undeniable.
How do you even know he's nobility?
Young Melius, who shines as the sun upon our faces.
Are you taking the piss? Oh yeah, look at that. You shine like the sun. It should just be like you've got a body like a runner bean.
Warming us and bringing us comfort.
How? Who? There's only 2 scenes where she tries to act badly. So this once again goes on for what seems like forever.
The storm is the mother of us all.
You definitely watched the last movie. How did you know that she was supposed to have a story about having kids?
Gunnar, you are our heart. You give us hope.
He's the guy you know the best. He's the one who actually comes from the pissing village. Everyone else, you're like, oh, you're a mountain, and I know that your soul is noble. Oh, you're the mother of us all. And Gunnar, I mean, you give us a bit of hope. You exist and hold a weapon. It helps. That's the least deep insight out of all of them.
And Cora.
I've made some devil horns because you're evil incarnate.
You are our guardian wolf.
You should have been like, you're a rogue because you stab people in the back.
You stand between us and annihilation.
Yeah, but you don't realise she's the one pointing the weapon at you. So we have some dancing, and something I wish didn't happen. I didn't want karaoke in a sci-fi movie. What's he gonna sing next? If you wanna be my lover. We're gonna get his rendition of the Wombles of Wimbledon.
Wombling free, the Wombles of Wimbledon, common are we.
I think that's enough of that twaddle. Zach, really, what were you thinking? Over now to the robot who is once again watching everything happen and not doing anything, like you will be for most of the fight. He also still seems to think he's a deer for some reason. This guy has got to be the most annoying neighbor in history. He's the kind of guy where everyone's like, yeah, it's Sunday, I can have a lie-in, I don't have to go to work. He's like, now's the perfect time to chainsaw that tree down that I've always wanted to get rid of. I just wanted someone to walk out that back door going, piss off and shut up. But instead, he has an announcement for them.
Today we begin the preparation for our defense.
Yes, 3 days for wheat, 2 days to prepare all of your defenses and train a load of farmers how to fight. When they have no idea what they're doing, when they've never held weapons before. In fact, this town only has one single advantage. There's a lot of women. And as we all know, they're just innately bred to be soldiers.
We start by moving the grain into the village.
I don't know why we didn't take it there at first, if that's what we were going to do anyway. Or let's store it all in this shed, so that tomorrow we can move it again. Yay!
So that they can't shoot us from orbit.
They can still shoot you from orbit. They don't care about the grain. They're coming here for the Scargiver. Then they realize that all the soldiers that they killed actually came with a crap ton of weaponry that they can use to defend their town against the people that brought it here. It does include rocket launchers that can take down spaceships, which they brought here to oppress a few peasants.
Armor-piercing high-explosive detonators.
Why have we got armor-piercing grenades against a few peasants?
Blood won't come out easy, but we can try.
No, it's perfect.
How is that perfect? Oh, I've got this armor, but it's covered in blood. I'll try and wash it for you. No, I like my armor covered in the blood of my enemies. It's like, what is happening?
Do we have more?
Leave it. Do we have more? Can I entirely dye this thing in it? Because that's what I want, and I promise I'm not evil. I promise that I'm not the villain of this movie. I just want to be covered in blood.
Gather and account for every hunting rifle.
And so she goes and gets what I think is meant to be a laser blunderbuss for some reason. And this guy is the most wobbly knife sharpener I've ever seen in my life. Look, it falls over at one point and he has to catch it with his hands.
Every round.
Look, it's like, oh, it's going over here. That's not how you get a sharp edge. You can't get a sharp edge on something that's wobbling all over the place. They start digging trenches, or what turned into be tunnels. They must be really glad they only gave themselves 2 days to dig an entire tunnel network. But the real talent comes when we see them testing the weapons, because this place has a very unique set of skills, or rather some of the people do. Namely that the guns do more or less damage depending on whether you've got dangly bits. Because this is someone who has never fired a gun before.
Let's see what you got.
You can tell, because, okay, I'm going to assume a position that I think I've seen somebody else in.
Wait.
But then she has to have her posture corrected by people that have actually held it before.
Tuck your elbow.
Now we've put you in the correct position that you had no idea what you were doing. Why don't you fire this weapon for the first time in your entire life? Oh, perfect. I hit every shot and blew the Scarecrow's face off. That's the natural power of fallopian tubes. Empowerment! And then we get the guy who has actually been in battles before and used weapons professionally before. This guy actually knows what he's doing. It's like, yes, he hit all the bullet. Never blew its face off or anything though, did it? Barely a scratch. That's his target, and that's hers. It's like having dangly bits gives you a minus 50% damage rating or something. And he's like, yeah, aren't I amazing?
Like a professional.
It's not bad for a man. So then we compare him to somebody else who lacks the gravitational encumbrance. And another one. We're really lucky that they've evolved over thousands of years to have bodies specifically meant for battle, aren't we?
Right.
All of them. I mean, that's 3 of them rotated through, but who's counting? And then the one who spent so much time in her art projects that she seemingly couldn't be bothered to harvest at all. Let's see how much time she had in firearm practice. I'd also like to point out that the villain of the movie, she doesn't care about it at all. But the general, the military general who's been around guns his entire life. Oh no, I've got to protect my ears from this one. Person firing it doesn't, but he's just a scared little man. Yeah, she evaporates it, hits it bang in the center first time. Never done anything like this before, but luckily, genetically bred for war. Because I can only assume in this universe, it's the men that give birth. And the villain's like, haha, yeah, I knew that would happen. Due to empowerment. So now in 2 days, we have built a complex tunnel system with reinforcements, structural integrity you could literally land a spaceship on. Despite the fact that it looks like it's made out of almost sand-like soil.
That's Kora's dropship. He was in bad shape when I tracked her out.
Making good use of the things that we find.
Yeah, remember that. This spaceship was in bad shape when I found it, so if it's an important or integral part of your plan, probably shouldn't have left it until the last day just to check on it. Maybe you needed those other 5 days to, you know, fix it or something.
Wombles are tidy and wombles are clean.
How long you say it's been here? 2 seasons.
Things that the everyday folks leave behind.
Really could have done with all that engineering time to fix it, couldn't we, really? So then, they get a load of people and horses to drag it along the ground for some reason. And I know what you're thinking, well, they're obviously dragging it because it can't fly. They did say it was heavily damaged.
We could pull it out. It could be a powerful asset.
Yes, it could be a powerful asset if we could get it to work. We just couldn't be bothered to care about it until the last day. There is a robot on the hill. I imagine the robot is very strong. Can't be bothered to help him pull, though. Like, why should he bother? So we basically pull some straw out the engines. And a few birds. Then they just sit down in the cockpit. Wow. Oh, look, it works. Because we didn't have time to pissing fix it after we just waited for 5 days before we bothered. It could be a powerful asset. It turns out to be the main asset. It's just one they couldn't be bothered to care about. Despite being the linchpin of the plan and happened to coincidentally just work.
Wow, it still works.
I don't know why you're so surprised, mate. It seems like you already knew it would. Otherwise, I don't know why you'd leave it till the last second to bother. It even flies. Why did we drag all those people out there to drag it along the ground for a bit? It could have flown at any time. Nothing in this movie makes any sense. Next up is the second characterization scene of the entire movie, for a weird reason.
I want you to know who the hell you're fighting with. Everyone must share the truth.
So in the first movie, they were all lined up and the villain told them what their backstories were. And then in this movie, they were all lined up and commanded to tell each other what their backstories were. Now that's what I call writing.
Just means that our stories are worth telling, and I think the success review-wise of our film shows that our stories are worth telling.
I'm also not sure I want to subject you to the horror of this scene, so Mauler's description is probably the best one. You see, I used to be in a nice place, and then mean people came and did mean things. And now I'm in this village defending grain. With Quarter Black Garrett going, that scene never ended. I think you can understand why you don't need to be subjected to that.
I'll go first.
I should hope so. If everyone's going to repeat the same story, at least by going first, yours seems original. He's like, they told me to fire on the capital. I refused. So they said if I'd surrender, they'd save my friends. They didn't save his friends. They put the same black bags over his friends' heads that they did the music crew for the king, and then nuked them from outer space with a cannon. It was like, now you know, I will never surrender to the Empire again. Their word cannot be trusted. It's like, this is why you don't break your promises to people. Now, in the future, rather than having people surrender for you, they will fight to the last man. This is not good battle strategy. Ironically, it is an advantage for you if your enemy trusts your word.
The decision to defy Belisarius had been mine alone.
I mean, I wouldn't have acted that scene as if I was laughing as all my friends died, though, to be honest. If it was me. He's like, mean people came and did mean things to me, and now I'm here defending grain. Then we get the next character. She can't act. Save her life.
Ever fought in a battle like the one that's coming? But I was raised in a place that was much like this.
I've never fought in a battle like the one we're about to fight in, but I was raised in a place that was just like this. It's so monotone, without any emotion at all.
When the ships appeared in the sky above my world.
When the ships appeared in the sky above my world that were about to wipe out my people, as you can tell from my voice, I was incredibly distraught. Her story's much the same. Oh, my people surrendered, and then they got spread to the far-flung galaxies, put into work camps until the rebels arrived. Shush. It's not copying Star Wars, despite the fact it's almost the same story. My favourite part is how an explosion goes off. Oh, look, there's people. It's like, where did they come from? It's like they teleported through a bomb. He's like, I will save you. That must be why she was so distraught when he died in the first movie. Next up, the spider lady. Her town got bombed from space and she wanted to take revenge because mean people came and did mean things. So she slashed her arms off, stuck robot ones on.
My ancestors still lived in those ancient gauntlets.
Yeah, she got her powers for her ancestors like Echo, except she stores her ancestors in some cybernetic arms, apparently. I mean, each to their own. Some people just have them in a coffin. I mean, does anyone care about this guy's backstory and his bird? And she's just like, no, I was just a soldier. I didn't do anything, no. I'm definitely not going to tell you that I killed the princess, and then when they tried to put me in jail for it, I was like, I'm not going to suffer for my crimes, and ran away.
Anything else you'd like to add?
Because I don't believe you. I've met you. I know you're evil. Why don't you tell me the evil part of your story? And then her only rebuttal, rather than answering his question, are you keeping something from me, is to go,
Titus pretends to drink.
Did all you guys know he's keeping something from you as well? Yes. He's actually just drinking water, not vodka. And they treat it as if it's a major revelation. We are faced with two questions. Are you keeping an evil secret versus is our general as drunk as he pretends to be, and they're more interested in him? If it was the other way around and he was pretending to drink water, but it was actually vodka, you might have a reason to be concerned. But if he's just sobering up, what's the problem? I trusted you. I was only going to go into battle with a guy who was off his face. I'm not going to go into battle with a sober general. Are you insane?
Ready as water.
Priorities are all over the place in this show. And that is the first hour of Rebel Moon Part 2. And I have to ask, does anyone want a director's cut of this thing? This movie takes every single problem of the first one and just doubles down on it. All because he refuses to listen to anything the audience tells him that needs to be fixed. So he genuinely doesn't know the problems that he has. Getting a load of characters to just say their backstory around a table at each other isn't characterization. Slow motion harvesting isn't a plot. Logical, internal consistency of your world isn't optional when you're building out a sci-fi universe. And having a cracked, scarred, broken lens isn't art. But what this movie is modern art. It's like any other piece at the Tate Gallery, except Rebel Moon is the piece where it's just a soiled bed, a trash can full of junk that gets taken away by the cleaning lady because she can't see any value in it either. Except when you listen to any Zack interviews, you quickly find out he's never going to improve because he doesn't have the humility to be able to. Because why would I listen to anybody that could actually tell me the things that are wrong in my movie? You know. Why would he listen to the audience? Because if they're against him, they must be for focus groups. Or they've got taste. One of them. But this is just the first half. The second half will be the battle for the planet. And so I hope you'll join me for that. But for now, that's it from me. If you like the video, press like, subscribe for more videos like this in the future, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.